Well, good morning, friends. My name is Harry the Horse, and I live out on the farm in Candler, North Carolina. I'm another friend of Macy's, and I've come this morning to tell you the story, Peter Pays Up. Peter was staying with his grandma, and early one afternoon she suggested that they go shopping together. Peter was so excited. Very soon the two were on their way. When they arrived at the grocery store, they went inside and were met with a cheery good morning by Mrs. Green, the smiling saleswoman behind the counter. Grandma went over to talk to her and buy the things that she had written down on her list, while Peter wandered around looking at all the things for sale. What a lot of beautiful things there were. In one corner, under a glass case, there was a pile of fresh brown loaves of bread and the most tempting cakes and pies. In a refrigerator, there were cartons of milk and packages of butter and cheese. Piled up on shelves, there were all sorts of bright-colored cartons. In the center of the floor were baskets of fruit and vegetables. All together they made a very pleasant picture, and the mixture of delicious aromas made Peter very, very hungry. Maybe you know how it feels to be young and to take a long walk and then to get into a store full of food. Well, Peter felt just like that. Now it so happened that among the baskets of fruit there were several filled with big, luscious blackberries. Oh, I love blackberries. How Peter loved them too. He could never get enough of them, and now here in front of them were more than he had ever seen before. He put out his hand to take one, but a little voice inside him seemed to say, "No, Peter, you can't take those. That would be stealing." Oh, but those berries looked so delicious that he felt he had to take one. After all, he thought, there were so many, many berries, no one would notice if he would just take one. So Peter did not listen to his conscience. Instead, he put out one hand and took just one blackberry. But that one tasted so good that he decided to take another one. Oh, how sweet it was. Then, seeing that there seemed to be just as many left in the basket as there had been before, he took one from another basket and another. In fact, he was just getting settled into a real meal of blackberries when he heard a familiar voice from the other side of the store. "Peter, Peter, where are you?" called his grandmother. "Oh, here I am, Grandma," called Peter, wiping his hands on the back of his trousers and hurrying around the pile of baskets. "Come along, dear," said Grandma. "We're all ready to go home now. Would you like to carry one of the bags? How good you've been all this time while Grandma was shopping." Peter blushed a little at this as he took the bag Grandma handed him. Then they opened the door and went out. As they walked along, Grandma suddenly stopped. "Peter," she said, "look at me." Peter looked up, trying to appear as innocent as possible. "What are those black marks on your face, Peter?" asked Grandma. "What black marks?" asked Peter. "All around your mouth. Not quite black, but blackish red." "I don't know," said Peter. Although he could have seen his dirty face, he would have owned right up to it. "Peter, have you been eating blackberries?" Peter's head went down. "Just one or two," he said. "Where did you get them?" asked Grandma. "In the store," said Peter. "Did Mrs. Green say you could have them?" "No," said Peter. "Do you mean you took them without asking?" "Yes," said Peter. "Oh, Peter," said Grandma. "What will happen in our story? Oh, my goodness, you will have to come back tomorrow and see what Grandma says to Peter. She seems very disappointed in him. Come back tomorrow and we'll see the answer."